Hi, this is Little Dwarf playing games while rambling incoherently into a microphone. Why? Well, just because I can, and I continue with Arcanum of Steamworks and Magick Obscura, Blind. Now, last time I've spoken with Aranax and I've learned a far few interesting things, actually. Chief among them is that apparently Aranax has been doing nothing the whole game because he was still imprisoned. And it's Khergan, the great necromancer, that's my chief antagonist. But Aranax has urged me to free him, and I am reluctant to do that. He seems, what's the word? He seems like he regrets what he has done, and he seems remorseful enough in just his words, but obviously those would have been very easy to fake. So hopefully I will be able to gather more information and more evidence to the fact that he has really changed, and maybe then I will be able to return. So, I've gained another level. I feel like at this point it doesn't really matter what I do. I might put a point to strength. I don't think I'm going to learn yet another level, and obviously crafting at this point doesn't really matter, so at least strength will give me greater damage. Sure, let's do that. Logare, you can have... well, it doesn't really matter either, so you can have Constitution. Magnus, you can have lockpicking, although again, I'm pretty sure it's not going to matter at this point. Oh, it's actually 2 points. So you can have lockpicking and I guess dexterity or strength for more damage. Virgil, you can have I guess Constitution for fatigue. Varomon, you can have dexterity for speed. And Raven, you can have I guess melee. It doesn't matter at this point, I don't think. I'm sure I'm pretty close to the end of the game. Well, let's leave Aranax for now and continue. Hopefully I will be able to return later on. So where does this go? Does it go back? It doesn't quite go back. Instead it seems to go in some completely different place.
I've never seen such a skillful dwarf.
Seemingly there's nothing here except for monsters, which I guess isn't that weird. This is the void. Okay, but I feel a little lost. Where would that go? Wait, somebody died. Didn't they? Yeah, Virgil died and I didn't even notice, which I'm not going to lie, it's pretty embarrassing. How did that happen? Well, I guess I have to reload this. Okay, so let me actually explore this part first. Oh, is this Khergan's castle? Well, it looks like a castle of sorts. Dark Champion. You have no business here. Leave immediately. The penalty for disobedience is death. What is this place? I told you to leave. You won't be warned again. And neither will you. Step aside or pay the consequences. Okay, so I would assume this is Khergan's castle. So obviously it seems castle-ish. But then if I confront Khergan, like, it seems to me that would be tantamount to the end of the game, right? Because I seriously doubt, frick, I didn't want to do that actually. I seriously doubt it's going to end with us talking and then him letting me go. So I'm not sure if I should be doing this right now. Or if I should explore the other parts first. Lockpicking failed. What are you talking about? I have maximum lockpicking that exists. I guess maybe it's opened with a key. Yeah, this looks kind of final-ish. So I am tempted to... Where is what in combat? I guess I will take that off of you. This should help you. Still can't open that. I guess I will explore the other parts first, because as I said, this seems like Khergan's castle. Although, then again, the game kind of suggested that I should be able to talk with him and then return to free Aronnax. So, to be honest, at this point I just don't know anymore. Okay, I have 5 party members, so everyone is alive. Void ring. Probably not the best idea to be wearing that. However, I might pick it up. It might be used for something. Wait, how does Virgil keep dying? What? Where even is he? What is happening? I have 2 ravens, and one of the ravens is Varomon. Varomon is no one. What? Oh, What? I don't get it, and I don't like it, because it seems like a bug, and they're pretty serious at that. I don't want to lose Virgil. Where is Virgil? I specifically made sure that he survived. I don't know what is happening here. Okay, Virgil is still here, for now. Let's get away from the castle. Okay, Virgil is still here. 5 companions, so it's how it should be, at least for now. Okay, you can give me the arachnid. Obviously you have trouble carrying it. Okay. Okay, everyone is still here, so let me save manually. And I should be able to go further with this. Yeah, and this is where the strange staircase of sorts was. Okay, everyone is still alive, which is a good sign. Okay, and apparently there is an altar here. Krigit's Falchion. Okay, I have no idea what this is about, but might as well take it. Maybe I will be able to use it for some end until the end of the game. And it's pretty large. It's actually also pretty powerful, but I'm not sure if it's a wise idea to be using that. Obviously it is an artifact I pulled from a strange looking altar in the void, but it has to be used for something, right? So I might as well have it on me. expecting that to happen actually. So I feel a bit like a fool, because apparently this one knight of some sorts killed half my party, and I was just looking at it. Because I assumed, you know, it was just one guy, and that they would bring him down. And apparently that's not the case. Okay. This is some kind of a strange tree, but I cannot interact with it. I guess there is nothing else here apart from the sword. Because this just loops around. Everyone is still with me, so that's a good sign. Wait, Kraka-Tur? That's the guy that was half human, half dragon, that killed the last dragon on Arcanum. In fact, I have his eye? Well, what do you have to say? Who disturbs the mighty Kraka-Tur? I suppose that would be me. Dreadfully sorry about that. Sorry, do you have any idea the powers I can bring to bear against you? The wrath of Kraka-Tur knows no bounds. Wait, you said Kraka-Tur? I read your journal. What, my journal? You mean my last testament? Where did you get that? Tell him. That was still in the lair of Bellerogrim after all these years. Wait, I don't quite remember what I wrote. That was the eve before my glorious battle against Nasruddin and your Elven Council. What a great battle it was. Strange, your journal had the taint of cowardice all over it. What? I will kill you for even speaking these words. Kraka-Tur is like a god. Kraka-Tur is monstrous, towering over those whimpering masses like a furious storm. To be honest, I don't care. I'm not going to ask him for help because I don't trust him at all. I am pretty content with my own party. I'm actually considering killing him because freeing him is probably not even possible. I'm not sure. Like, presumably if I ask him to join me afterwards, maybe after the battle with Khergan, he would have returned to Arcanum, but I've seen nothing in opposition to Aronnax, who maybe should be allowed to return. Maybe. I haven't decided yet. I haven't seen anything that would warrant this guy's return to Arcanum. I'm considering killing him because, to be honest, I think it may be more humane than leaving him in here for eternity. You are pathetic and weak, Kraka-Tur. It's that simple. What? No one speaks such words and lives. Tremble before the might of Kraka-Tur. I have spilled oceans of blood. Mountains of bones mark the road of my fury. Fire and destruction. Yeah, sure. To be honest, if any of that was true, he would have killed me long ago instead of continuing to talk. More questions? Although I'm not going to ask for forgiveness. You're a joke. The creature's eyes nearly bug out of his head. I have never heard such insolence. I will devour 100 generations of your family. They will curse your name for the tragedy you have brought upon this day. They will... Okay, this is ridiculous. I think you're a weakling. Fight me. The great dragon beast seems to flinch. Well, let's not get this out of hand. I mean, I've done nothing to you. You bothered me here. Not that I won't kill you if you say one more foolish things, for I am Kraka-Tur, vicious spoiler of history. Death to all and everything. I will... Fight me, you coward. His bulk seems to shrink. He lowers his head. You don't seem in the best of moods. What I have done to deserve this treatment? I mean, first Nasruddin and his cronies gang up on me, and now... I mean, you will pay for this. I am Kraka-Tur, masticator of millions. I will dine upon your entrails. You're a blowhard. I've known tougher milk maidens. Don't push me. If you keep on this path, I will destroy you and your descendants and your ancestors too. Yes, I am mighty and great Kraka-Tur. There will not even be a memory of you. There will not even... For I control time and the elements. I am a god in dragon form. Just fight me and shut the hell up. What? No one speaks such words and lives. Oh, okay. I guess he's repeating himself, right? Mark the bones of my fury, you're a joke. Tragedy you brought up on this day. Yeah, he just repeats himself constantly in a loop and never actually fights me. Okay, whatever. Forgive me, I guess. I have no other option. Few more questions? I suppose I might let you live long enough to answer some of the questions. What's your opinion of Khergan the Terrible? Khergan? The massive creature in you seems to cringe. What do you mean? What do you want with Khergan? I'm looking to destroy him, but I don't need your help. I don't believe I have ever seen such a cowardly creature. You dare to mock me? I am Kraka-Tur, destroyer of worlds, maker of widows and orphans. I will take no such treatment from a mere mortal such as yourself. Come to think of it, the last thing I need is a cowering fool at my side. Okay, so he repeats himself again. Why don't you tell me a bit about yourself, Kraka-Tur? What do you want to know? Tell me about your life in Arcanum. My life in Arcanum was millennia ago. Such are the lives of the gods. But I will tell you, once I was a mere mortal just as you are. I lived in a small village when I was ridiculed and belittled just for being different. Granted, I may not always have been the easiest person to live with, but isn't this the way of strong men? I was a visionary, and I was scorned because of it. So I went out adventuring, as I was prone to do, and I happened across an old temple in the mountains. There I found a scroll which described a spell so powerful and so horrible that I still believed it was hidden away on purpose. Before me, there had been no other man in the history of Arcanum who could have handled such old and powerful magic. Yeah, I've actually found his journal, but I'm interested in hearing it again from his own perspective. The scroll described a spell to transform a man into a terrible dragon beast. He gestures to himself. All that it required was the right words and a drop of dragon's blood. As you can probably guess, dragon's blood is usually in fairly short supply. The last dragon in Arcanum was Belerogrim, the mightiest, most fearsome creature who walked the land, and so I went straight to his lair and battled him to the death in order to get a single drop of blood. It was a ferocious battle, but in the end, I was victorious. Even as a mortal man, I was very, very brave and powerful. I'm sorry, doesn't your journal say that you poisoned him? My journal? You mean my testament? Where did you get that? I told him that already, actually. Okay, he's actually repeating himself. How did you get sent here? I was sent here by the efforts of the powerful Elven Council, led by Nasruddin himself. There was a colossal battle between us, and only through sheer force of numbers did they finally subdue the mighty Kraka-Tur. Nasruddin hid like a coward, while his minions died by the thousands. I was banished, but never be defeated. I am Kraka-Tur. Okay, whatever. What have you been doing over here in the void? I've been spreading terror here, as I did in Arcanum. Look around you. This is the Valley of Death. No one has survived the fury of Kraka-Tur. Okay, whatever. To be honest, I don't care about him. Like, I briefly considered killing him, but obviously that's kind of rude to presume on his behalf that he would prefer to be dead rather than spending eternity in here. You know, if he had asked me to kill him, then I would have done it, but as is, I guess he can just continue to roam this little plot of land and be scared of everything. I'm not going to free him, that's for sure, because it seems if anything, he has become even more vainglorious than he was in life, and I don't think good things would come out of that. Human bandit. The man has the look of a fierce warrior. His heavily muscled body is covered with scars and tattoos. He sniffs as you approach. A fresh arrival, eh? You still have the smell of the world on you. Might I ask who you are? I have been known by many names, but the only that matters now is the Bane of Kree. This is the name I was known by when I wielded power over men. So he's the guy that destroyed Kree, right? He and his horde of barbarians. How did you come by that name? Kree was where I forced the world to respect my power. No one has ever breached the great walls of Kree, but my horde swarmed over them as if they were but a mirage. I held the fate of every man, woman and child in my hand and showed them no mercy. His eyes glaze over as he looks into the distance, savoring his moment of glory once again. If only I could return to Arcanum. Well, to be honest, he's not making a strong case for me releasing him, because he's literally reminiscing with nostalgia about the last time he committed genocide. And he wants to return to Arcanum to presumably do exactly that again. Is that where you were using the Bangilian Scourge? He snaps back to reality and stares at you in disbelief. You know of the Scourge? I destroyed it. No, not my beloved Scourge. Die, you worm. Okay, that's a lot of attacks. Well, I guess so much for that talk. At least I won't need to consider whether it is better to kill him or to leave him to rot for eternity, because he attacked me himself, and by doing that, he has sealed his fate. Well, I guess he was really attached to that sword of his. Unidentified armor. Torian Kel's ancestral sword. Interesting. I've met Torian Kell in undead form, but he didn't want to join me because I had good alignment. So I guess the Bane of Kree must have defeated Torian Kell back in life and taken his sword. I wonder if they would have had some kind of an interesting interaction were I to bring Torian Kell here. But that's a question for another time, if I will ever be doing an evil playthrough. Okay, and this just brings me back to the Ring of Brodgar, to the very beginning of the Void journey. Okay, so I think I'm done actually. I think I'm done, and I think I'm ready to go into Khergan's castle then. Yeah, this is where Aranax was. I'm still not quite ready to free him. Hopefully I will be given a choice to return after I talk with Khergan. And maybe, you know, get some conclusive proof as to the change in Aranax's character. I do believe there is another portal right here. All of my followers are still alive, which is pretty great. Now, I will make another manual save just in case. Better safe than sorry. Virgil, I guess, is unconscious. I should be able to use this on him to give him a bit of fatigue back. I do believe I wasn't here, at least not on this save. Okay, interesting. It seems to be some kind of a hub, almost. Yes, it is, but I cannot go back, which is kind of annoying. Because this will take a rather long time if I am to manually check every last one of them. I guess I will... What I will do is I will save when in there, and I will reload if I happen to land in the space I was already in. I don't consider it cheating necessarily, because nothing much is happening. Like, I could run back every time, but obviously it's a little bit tedious, both for me and for you. So, as I said, I don't consider it cheating because it's not like I am avoiding any fights. If I would be retreading known ground, then obviously there would be no fights to be had. Okay, so this lands to the Ring of Brodgar. I was here as well. Here as well. Okay, I don't know about this. Ah, this is where Kraka-Tur was. Okay, so I was here as well. This was this, right? Yep. And this was where the Bane of Kree was. And this is back to Khergan's castle, or at least what I presume is Khergan's castle. I was here as well, and judging from the bodies. What about this? Okay, I was here as well because I was in this cave. And this is near the beginning. Okay, so I think that's everything. I'm pretty sure I have explored everything by now. And yeah, this goes back to the Ring of Broadgar. So I think I'm ready to go and face Khergan, which I presume is going to happen once I cross this gate. You have no business here. Leave immediately. The penalty for disobedience is death. What is this place? I told you to leave. You won't be warned again. Neither will you. Step aside or pay the consequences.
Good show! Perhaps something's playing before Jack Russell again, eh?
Okay, everyone is still alive, so let's enter. Okay, the chests are closed and I don't know how to open them. Okay, Magnus is pretty badly wounded. Hopefully they will heal him shortly. Frick, I probably shouldn't have done that. But wait.
How may I help you?
Wait. Is this different?
How may I help you?
Can I even get past this circle? Or does it... Yes, I can.
I've been wounded terribly.
Okay, that's unfortunate.
Let the blood flow.
I don't know why they often fight my own summoned creatures, but I guess at this point it's just going to... I just have to accept them. I actually got killed in that commotion, which is a bit embarrassing. I'm not going to lie. Okay, I guess I have to wait for a moment for the fatigue to recharge, although I guess it might finally be time to use this. I wonder how long it will last, because obviously the end of the game is drawing near, so... Wait, how do I use that? 9. Did I summon it? Yes, I did. And it heals me quite nicely, but I wonder how long will it last. Then again, I doubt it matters at this point. As I said, the end of the game is approaching rather quickly, so I might as well use it. Okay. So I guess there is no actual passage through here. It was just an additional bunch of enemies. And I guess the passage actually leads through here. I wonder if the arachnid will teleport with me. It will. Okay. Is this the gate that the Black Mountain clan has been building? Because obviously it looks vaguely like a portal of sorts. It has these steps that let you approach. Okay, this looks like a torture chamber of sorts, but it looks also like I don't have the key. None of them seem to be carrying it. Oh, well, I guess for once, Magnus was actually kind of useful. Well, no more, I guess. Just some crafting components. It doesn't really matter at this point. I guess the gate is not yet finished. We cannot use it. However, there is another portal here. Ah, they're dead dwarves. So I guess he has murdered all of the Black Mountain clan? So, but why? They are not done yet. Why would he do that? It seems a little counterproductive to his own plans. Unless he has somehow changed his mind and he did it to spite me. So that's a lot of bodies. That's even more bodies. So I guess that's a torture chamber of sorts. Oh. Some of them are still alive. Okay, components don't really matter at this point. But hopefully I will be able to actually talk with the dwarves that still remain alive. Someone from the other side has come. Who are you? I am Grainar Silverhammer. Tell me, did Stenar reach you? Yes, but before he died. Yes, but he died before he could tell me what was happening. Stenar. He bangs his head for a moment. No, hangs his head for a moment. How did he die? He perished in a horrible Zeppelin crash. A Zeppelin? What is that? It's an airship, a boat that flies, suspended under a large balloon. What? I have never heard about such a thing. How is that possible? The world has changed greatly since you've been here. No doubt driven by dwarven ingenuity and technological advances. Well, actually, after Bates's engine, the humans began developing machines. So, our folly haunts us once again. If only we we had harnessed that boy's ideas, what might have been, well, that is of no consequence now. If we hadn't made some error in judgment that the Dark Elves could exploit, another clan would have. Can you tell me about what happened? The Dark Elves have been lying in wait, looking for a way to bring some dwarves over to this side. They knew that technology would eventually weaken the wards to the point of failure, but they decided to accelerate the process. They needed a machine to open the rift back up by distorting the already weakened wards. An elf couldn't make this machine to save his life, and then Bates made his steam engine. Exactly. King Loghaire should have been able to fill you in on the rest. The bitterness in his voice is barely disguised. He was the one that they convinced to banish us. We were shocked, to say the least, but our king has spoken. He bows his head. We were told that the banishment was to the Isle of Despair, but this is where we ended up. I can assure you, King Loghaire had no idea of their true intent. He thinks on this for a moment. Of course, you are right. Our king would never betray us knowingly. Loghaire nods grimly and silently. Continue with your tale. As soon as we arrived here, we were beaten mercilessly and thrown in chains. As our work progressed on the gate, Stennel formulated a plan. As soon as the gate had any functionality, he would go through and attempt to warn the other side. We knew that his absence would be noticed and that they would try to stop him. He began preparations to disguise himself as a gnome. He starved himself to the point of sickness, and when the game was near readiness, he shaved his beard. He believed that the full responsibility for what had befallen us was his. He would do whatever was necessary to make things right. Even that. What happened after he went through? They tortured some of the clan to force us to reveal his plans, but we wouldn't break. We knew they needed us to finish the gate, and we had been disabling the gate in various ways for months. For all they knew, we still had months ahead of us to finish the thing, when we could have finished months before. And then they killed half of the clan in the last effort to force us to talk. We still didn't break, and now we are all that is left of our once great clan. I will return to free you once I have killed those responsible. Okay. You have returned. Anything more from the others? What do you want? You must belong. You don't belong here. I would rather not talk with you. A bunch of beds. Okay. Let's continue onwards.
I've been badly wounded. Please, my friend.
How did she die so easily? I wonder if this bow is cursed. Maybe it has been killing her. Like, I have encountered weapons and armor that actually actively damaged the wielder. That would be quite an irony, actually. Yeah, I do believe it must be cursed, right? I don't believe this weird red effect on her is a cause of the spells that they are casting. I thought that at first, but many different types of enemies seem to exude this kind of effect, which would be weird. weapon? He did. I'm not sure how that happened, but I'm not about to go back and look for it. At this point, I kind of don't care. I'm pretty annoyed, but I don't care. I just hope I'm strong enough to defeat Khergan, without it. For now, I guess you can have Torian Kell's sword. Hopefully it's not cursed. Well, let's continue.
Greetings. Long have I waited for your arrival, and finally this moment has come. I am Khergan, first of the necromancers, voyager in the lands of the dead.
I see. Not exactly the person I originally expected.
I would think not. Although I know that you've already spoken with Aranax, so you probably know much of my tale. Tell me, what do you think of what has transpired?
Well, to be honest, I am willing to give him at least a chance to explain himself, so I was taken aback, I must admit. Tell me your side of the story.
My life, in the world you call Arcanum, seems so very distant. The memories clouded like those of a child, and a child I was then, probing the darker magics, given glimpses of the truths yet to come.
The council, were they right about the magics? Look at you.
Yes, look at me. And what do you see? A monster. An abomination. You've no idea what I've discovered. You see with eyes tainted by life, and all which that accursed state embodies. My vision is clear because of those magics you hold in disdain. And the council, it is they I have to thank for it.
But they punished you. Why would you thank them?
In your world, your Arcanum, I was powerful. Perhaps the most powerful human magicka who has ever been. But to humans, cursed with our shortness of life, our brevity, what is this power? What can be learned in that impermanent spark that is our lives? Nothing. But here, in this so-called prison, there are no limits. There is no end.
I don't understand.
This place, this void, has no time as you know it. I've been here for more than 2,000 of your years, and yet I've aged not at all. I feel as I did the moment they sent me here, or as when the Dark Elves first called to me. Do you now see? Here I can do everything I did in your world, but I am unfettered by the chains of mortality that time hangs upon us.
Wait, but if he supposedly likes it here, because of the lack of limitation and because of the fact that he's immortal here because time is meaningless, then why would he want to return? Obviously, I presume that if he would return to Arcanum, then he would eventually die, right? As a human. And also, the Dark Elves thought that they were calling Aranax. Not that it is crucial, but still, I wonder what his response is going to be.
Yes, I know. Ironic, isn't it? It was on my ears that their feeble and pathetic cries had fallen. To me, Khergan, who had defeated their master and thrown him in chains. Khergan, who had manipulated them into subverting the Bonari and weakening the wards. Khergan, who used them to send me the dwarves of the Black Mountain clan, who have now finished the bridge back to Arcanum.
But why? If you like it so much here, then leave us alone. Yeah, that's kind of my point.
I truly wish I could. My reasons for returning aren't what you'd think. I had no aspirations for power or domination like your companion Aranax did. Aspirations that I became the victim of. No. Those are the motivations of the living, and I no longer place myself among them.
Wait. Where is Virgil? I just noticed that he disappeared from the face of the earth again. I'm pretty sure it has to be a bug, right? The game has not addressed in any way that he disappeared. It's not like Khergan killed him. I am going to reload quickly and obviously skip the beginning of the conversation and stop at this moment. Then what? What is it you want?
If only I could show you the places I've seen, you might understand the things I say. I've been to the desolate lands, wandered by those souls who still see the lands of the living, but wear the cloak of the dead. Blind to their own ends, they cry, passing through one another like shadows in the dying light of day. I've traveled to where souls rot in torment, pierced with the jagged shards of life and vision, clinging to memory, regrets of the flesh. I saw that this prison was of their own making, and the key was in unknowing, in release. And still, I traveled on. And finally, I came to the place where souls go to die, where the mirrored and worn spirits fall into an endless sea of gray, mirrored glass. And I lowered myself within, and lay there among them, and I almost did not return. And do you know what I found there? There, among the silent and battered shells of the innumerable, peace, enlightenment, truth. Only then did I realize that this place, this life, is an abomination, a horrible distortion of the natural order. This life, who mothered pain and fear and envy, these twisted children who exist only because we are here to feed them, to nourish them. This life, this afterthought, a disturbance, a mere ripple in that great, dead sea, not even the cause, but merely an effect, sending these souls upward, screaming for release from the day they are torn from their waters. The effect of what? I do not know, nor do I care. Have you ever spoken with the dead, called to them from this side, pulled them from their silent rest? Do you know what it is that they feel? Pain. Pain when torn into this wakefulness, this reminder of the chaos from which they had escaped. Pain at having to live. There will be no more pain. There will be no more chaos. I see your soul, traveler. It screams, tattered and spent. Do you feel its pull? Do you hear its wailing? It is within my power to calm these waters, and that is what I shall do.
Okay, so I guess Khergan is like a hardcore anti-natalist, right? He believes that life is pain, and that that basically living is not worth it because ultimately just by being alive you are subject to suffering, and you are subject to to chaos and to pain and to loss and to sorrow and all that. He basically thinks it would be better if there was no life, because you cannot suffer if you are not alive, which incidentally is kind of a real philosophical position, because obviously anti-natalists, at least most of them that I know of, do not usually go the route of genocide. Like, I don't know antinatalists that would presume it moral to kill the people that are already here. But obviously, the main tenet of antinatalism is that producing children, giving birth to children, is immoral because they don't choose to be alive, and by giving birth to them, you are forcing them to live, which in turn is forcing them to suffer on this earth. So, the logical endpoint of antinatalism is extinction. It's just prolonged because, as I said, most antinatalists that I know of wouldn't say it's right to kill the people that already are living. They would just say it's right to not produce any more people. So eventually, in the end, if humans stopped reproducing altogether, obviously they would just die out. So I guess, in a way, Khergan could have accomplished his own goals in a if presumably he had such a power over necromancy, which is manipulating bodies, right? I believe it's not only souls; it's actually manipulating bodies. Dark necromancy is hurting them, and white necromancy is healing them. If he had devised a way to make everyone infertile, then I believe his whole plan could have come to fruition without killing anyone. He would just have to wait a little bit, which doesn't really matter for him because he's in the void and he's not aging. Because obviously, this is insane. Obviously I don't agree with him, specifically because I presume that there are a lot of people who don't want to die and who don't consider life suffering, and who think it is worth living. And obviously, you cannot make such a choice for someone. I am fully in favor of everyone determining their own life and death. I am fully in favor of euthanasia, for example. If somebody wants to die, then they should be allowed to decide that. But obviously, you cannot decide that for someone else, let alone for the whole world. So he's obviously kind of insane. But I just wanted to comment on the fact that his ideas, as insane as they seem, have a root in real ideas. They are just a little bit more hardcore. And also, I wanted to briefly comment on the fact, because he said that one of his proofs that life is pain and that living is suffering is that whenever you bring back the spirit of the dead, through necromancy, they suffer and they cry out in pain, and they are displeased with being summoned. But I don't think it is a valid argument, because it seems to me that it could very well be because it could very well be argued that they are doing that, they are suffering because of the nature in which they were brought back, right? The black necromancy itself is hurting them. It's not the fact that the return to life is hurting them, it's the method used that is causing them pain. Because, for example, take Virgil, for example. He has died and he has returned to life via the use of white necromancy, right? And he does not seem to complain that much about it. In fact, he briefly commented that it was a surreal experience because he was kind of sad to be brought back to life, but in the end still decided it was worth it because he wanted to help me, finish what I started, save the world, basically. So I feel like Virgil himself could offer some interesting commentary against Khergan, and I wonder if he will actually do that. I suppose that's a different way of looking at things.
Hold on a moment. Might I speak with you?
Yeah, right. Okay, so great. That's actually great that he's taking, a turn to speak, because I was just about to say, I just said that he, of all people, would have something to say about whether life is worth it, or whether life is suffering, or whether it would be better to be dead, because he was dead and he returned back to life. Of course, Virgil.
What he is saying, it's not completely untrue. I've seen the places he speaks of, felt the peace and serenity of that great Dead Sea. It's not something I'll ever forget.
There is a strange longing in his eyes. What are you saying, Virgil? Do you agree with Khergan?
Of course not. I made my choice a long time ago, and I choose to stand with you. Yes, there is pain in life, pain and loss and sorrow. But there is also joy and the pleasures of growing and learning. You can't have one without the other, and I wouldn't want to sacrifice either. But in the end, I stand with you, whatever your choice.
Yeah, and besides, I feel like the most important point in this whole conversation is choice, because, as I said, I am fully in favor of people choosing their own death if they want to. If Khergan wanted to kill himself, then sure. If Khergan wanted to kill people that want to die, then sure. Like, I could even imagine him opening some kind of a euthanasia clinic where he uses the powers of necromancy to slowly quench the life out of people that choose their own death. And sure, I am fully in favor of that. But Virgil chose on his own accord to return back to life, and he could have chosen of his own accord to remain dead, and I would have respected both of those choices. But the crux of the matter is, he was given a choice regarding himself, and I don't think anyone has a choice to has a right to make a choice on behalf of other people, let alone on behalf of the whole world. Thank you, Virgil. As for you, Khergan,
I can no longer tolerate the atrocities that this life has brought about. There will be peace. There will be quiet. Life will no longer be. And so I go to Arcanum to be an end to it. And then I will join the souls of the dead when it is done.
well, I have a few questions before we continue.
Of course.
Tell me about what happened with Aronnax.
Aronnax was banished here only a few years after I was. After seeing how powerful I'd become, he raised a ragged army against me. But his efforts were useless. I destroyed his army and threw him in chains. A fitting end for him, and a reward for his endless arrogance.
I see.
Of course.
Tell me of how you came to be here.
I was the first of the necromancers, and the Elven Council was displeased with my studies into the darker side of that discipline. After an inquiry into my activities, the Council was going to exile me, but Aronnax, in his hatred of me, convinced them banishment was more appropriate for my so-called crimes. They banished me soon afterward.
I see.
Of course.
Tell me of the Dark Elves and the Black Mountain Clan.
The Dark Elves began calling across the void soon after Aronnax had been banished. By the time their feeble cries were heard, their master was already defeated and imprisoned. Pretending I was he, I masterminded the manipulation of the Panari, coerced the Dark Elves into betraying the trusts of Loghaire and the Wheel Clan, and had the Black Mountain Clan sent to me.
And what has the Black Mountain Clan been doing?
The Black Mountain Clan was brought here because of the nature of technology and magic. The wards which bind the gate back to Arcanum are weakening because of the rise of technology. I've brought the dwarves here to construct a device to shatter the wards once and for all.
I see.
Of course.
What is it you really want, Khergan?
I want the end to all life. I've divined the mysteries of death and seen its truth. Death is the natural state of things, and life is a distortion of the natural order. I will put an end to it once and for all.
I see.
Of course.
Well, that's it for now. What is it that you want to do?
I can no longer tolerate the atrocities that this thing, this life has brought about. There will be peace. There will be quiet. Life will no longer be. And so I go to Arcanum to be an end to it. And then I will join the souls of the dead when it is done.
Obviously, I do believe he's wrong, but I am willing to entertain his point of view for a little bit longer for the purposes of a discussion, so an interesting point of view. I can see the merit it holds.
And why not? I realize that you follow the way of the righteous, or at least that's the role you've decided to play. But you've yet to see the other side. Follow me, and I'll show you things you've never imagined.
Well, I guess I have no choice to dissuade him from what he's doing, presumably because I don't have full persuasion, which is a result of my, well, both my own poor choices, as far as the curse is concerned, and also some of the game's shenanigans, because it has taken away some of my points that I put into persuasion. So I will not join him, of course, because it's insane. And again, it comes back to the point of the matter being, I could choose my own death at whatever time that I desire to, but I'm not going to kill everyone else in the world and pretend it's somehow doing them a favor. I will not turn back now. You are going to die, Khergan, which presumably you also want, so that shouldn't be that big of a problem for you.
I shall send you to that great dead sea, and then you shall know.
Khergan looks at you almost sadly. Khergan looks at you almost sadly. Is there no space around him? Is that why I couldn't attack him? It's kind of ridiculous. It seems so. It seems there's no space to actually reach him. Okay, he's summoning a lot of undead. Freak.
It's beginning to sap my life.
Okay, this didn't work at all. I must do it a little bit differently then.
I shall send you to that great dead sea, and then you shall know.
Okay, I will save here at the beginning of the fight, so I won't have to restart the whole conversation each time I die. Actually, can I use the Vendigroth device on him? He is technically a mage. Nothing happened. So I guess the answer is no. Generally speaking, I would say the Vendigroth device was kind of overhyped by the Vendigrothians themselves and by Nasruddin, because it seems to do jack shit, in fact.
Let the blood flow.
Okay, hopefully I can take him down before any of my companions die. Wait, is this the moment where I'm supposed to use the Vendigroth device? Because it was set to turn back a mage's healing shell against him. It is some kind of a shell that he has deployed right now, so let's try it. Okay, seemingly still nothing.
I am awed by your abilities. Let the blood flow.
No, not Raven, Khergan. Oh.
The defeat of Lucan and his henchmen, coupled with your freeing of the ghost of Bessie Toon, enabled Shrouded Hills to grow and become a thriving community once again. A new silver vein is discovered in the old Bessie Toon mine. Workers pour into town by the dozens, and within a few years, Shrouded Hills is a bustling boomtown. Such towns often have problems keeping the peace. Shrouded Hills has no such trouble, mainly due to the efforts of their new sheriff, Doc Roberts. Don Throg, because of the advice that you gave him, became a leading political activist in the fight for Orcish rights. In time, he legalized Orcish labor unions, secured the vote for all citizens regardless of race or gender, and became the champion of equal rights and justice in Tarant. Before long, he was begrudgingly voted into the Industrial Council, and in a few years, he sat at its head. Following the deaths of Pollock and Darian Mogg, the Boyle was demolished and then built anew. The Bentley was renovated and became the most elegant hotel in Tarrant. The owner, the Honorable Mr. Caleb Malloy, is often seen mixing drinks for his guests in the hotel bar. Maximilian was returned to Dernholm, and all of Cumbria rejoiced in the return of their rightful king. Under the new rule of Maximilian, Cumbria quickly grew into a powerful nation, embracing both magic and technology. And once again, the proud banner of the Dragon Knights flew from the ramparts of Dernholm Castle, set there by their new captain, Liana Pelgar. The long-standing deception of the Panari by the Dark Elves was finally brought to light. Alexander became the new High Priest of the Panari, and he wrote a new chapter for the Archaon based on his experiences with the Living One. Because you convinced the mayor of Blackroot to rejoin Cumbria, there is a small struggle between Maximilian and the Industrial Council concerning ownership of the town. Maximilian was determined to defend his own, and he was successful in doing so. Under the protection of their new king, Blackroot grew into one of the most important port cities in all of Arcanum. Under the continued leadership of Loghaire Thunderstone, the Wheel clan came out of seclusion and rejoined the world. Loghaire himself lived for more than 800 years, and songs are still sung about his bravery and courage. Khan Karai of the Bedokan made a lasting peace with the elves of Kintara, and together they rid the glimmering forests and the dark fens of poachers and of the spoilers of the land. In time, the Bedokan became a more civilized people, sharing in the wonders of the new age. Upon returning to Arcanum, Arronax buried his father on the Isle of Thanatos. Later he traveled to the Vendigroth Wastes, and there used his powers and single-handedly raised the city from the ruins it had become. Vendigroth again became a place of awe and wonder. Yet, after all of this, Arcanum is still what it always was, a place of possibility, a place of change. One thing is certain, and that is that nothing at all is ever certain in this place. Who's to say what the future holds for the land we call Arcanum?
Okay, so I am pretty pleased with the epilogues. Pretty much every place received a pretty great epilogue. I'm especially happy about what happened to Don Trog. Apparently he was not only successful in gaining the right to unionize for the orcs, but also in time he secured voting rights for all races and all genders. So that's pretty great. But also he eventually became the leader of the Industrial Council, which is infinitely great, because it means that eventually he probably dismantled the horrible scheme by the gnomes, because obviously if they still held in power to such a great regard, it would have never happened for Don Trog to be elected the leader of the Industrial Council. So that's pretty great. Overall, pretty much everything was rather happy, and interestingly enough, it seemed that the game has assumed that after I defeated Khergan, I went back and freed Arronax, and it turned out to be the right choice, because apparently he raised Vendigroth from ruins and restored it to its former glory, and it once again became the most technologically advanced city in Arcanum. So I guess he did truly change and he did truly regret what he did. And I guess, obviously he couldn't have brought back the people that he killed when raising Vendigroth, but symbolically speaking, what he did was like the next best thing, because he restored what he once destroyed, right? It was the final symbol of him changing his ways, so I'm happy for him as well. And overall, I'm pretty happy with my performance in the game. Well, not in the gameplay department, because I sucked pretty hard. Like, I was really bad at this game, and in fact, there were many elements of the mechanics that I didn't understand, even right until the very end of the game. Maybe I should have read the manual, because there wasn't much in the way of tutorial, as it often was the case with those older games. They just expected that you read the manual on your own time. So obviously I'm not at all pleased or proud of how I did in the game in the terms of gameplay, but I am rather proud of my accomplishments in the story department, because not only did I manage to solve a lot of problems, it all seems to have turned out alright in the end, and it is not always so. So that's definitely cool. I would have appreciated some more outro on the fate of the remaining members of the Black Mountain clan and what happened to them after they returned from their exile to the Void, because it must have been pretty interesting for them. They were essentially frozen in time for 2,000 years, because they don't age in the Void. Well, not 2,000 years, it was less than that, but for some time. What was it? Since Bates, it was about 50 or 60 years. Still, a lot of advancement has been made in the time, and I would have enjoyed some kind of an epilogue for them. But overall, I guess that was Arcanum of Steamworks and Magick Obscura, and I must say, I thoroughly enjoyed myself. It is a great game, for me at least, and it has a distinct feeling of a Torika game to me, because my favorite game of all time is actually Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines, which was also made by Torika Games, and I can see some similarities between those two titles, because they are both rather janky in the gameplay department. I didn't really enjoy the combat in this game, and I think it was a bit buggy, most notoriously with the rate of fire of the archers. But the thing is that, much as with Bloodlines, I didn't care in the end, because I was so engrossed in the world and I was so thoroughly immersed in the story of the game that the combat was like a side activity that had to be done, but it didn't detract from my enjoyment of the game. So overall, I definitely liked it a lot, and I'm very glad I played it, and I'm also very glad I managed to avoid spoilers for all of those years, somehow. It isn't always the case. There are some of those classic games that I haven't finished, for example Baldur's Gate or Fallout 1, but I have heard spoilers for those, some of the more important plot points, so obviously once I do play them, it will be a little less surprising and a little less, wondrous. But for this, I somehow managed to avoid 100% of the spoilers, so that was pretty great. So I definitely enjoyed the world itself. It was pretty unique, in my opinion, because the world was undergoing industrial revolution, but in a fantasy setting, and it's not something you see very often, and it brought up ideas and concepts that are not often discussed within a fantasy setting. For example, what's the word? Workers' unions, right? And the exploitation of unrestrained capitalism, for example, to name the few. So I definitely enjoyed the setting itself and how it was presented. I also rather enjoyed the story. I wouldn't say it was mind-blowingly awesome or anything like that. If anything, I would say the old switcheroo at the end with Aronnax and Khergan was a little bit underutilized, because you didn't really know that much about Khergan and that much about his thought process of reaching the conclusion that life is suffering and is pointless. I feel like more could have been done even without spoiling the twist. Obviously that would kind of suggest that something is up if they gave you a lot of information on Khergan as you went, but it could have been done in a way that you didn't know. For example, you kept finding his journals, right? Or like his different laboratories, and they would tell you about his experiments with the undead and how he questioned the spirits of the dead and how he wondered about their suffering and how he wondered about why are they crying out in pain when he calls them. But it could not give you his name. Just vaguely describe it, and then at the end you would sort of connect the dots, but you would have a greater understanding of his thought process, because as it were, it seemed to me that it was almost done for the sake of a twist, because obviously for the whole game you think you are trying to stop Aronnax, the arrogant elven maniac, from coming over and taking over the world, but then it turns out it's a little bit different. But I feel like it could have been utilized in a better way. So the story wasn't nothing, like, I wouldn't say it was breathtakingly awesome and spectacular, but it was interestingly enough done, that I always felt immersed and I always felt interested in learning more. In fact, some of the side activities, some of the side quests were very, very interesting. Chief among them, the whole side quest about the horrible conspiracy of the Gnomish Industrial Council and how they bred their own slave soldiers. That was horrible and also fascinating in its horribleness. But overall, there was a lot to do. For example, the whole side quest with the Iron Clan was pretty great as well. Finding out the clues on how to reach the passage. The quest with Kanhua and the Panari, and discovering their distortion of the religion of the Panari, and searching for the grave of Saint Manox, also pretty great and memorable. And interesting with the puzzle with the directions on the stone, right? So overall, the story was very good, not superbly great, but very good and competently done, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I especially enjoyed the voiced characters. I think each of them was pretty well recorded as far as voice acting goes, and they all had their distinct character and their distinct sort of feeling to them, and I really enjoyed talking with them and hearing their opinion on stuff, and generally interacting with them. What else? I am very pleased that dwarves played a very large role in the story of this game, because usually in fantasy, dwarves are relegated to background decoration. There is usually one or maybe two, if they are generous, dwarven followers that serve as a token of their race. But here you actually had Magnus, who was like who was basically overcompensating his dwarfiness because he felt embarrassed that he didn't know about his clan. You had Logair, a dwarven king, old and withered, and a veteran of many wars and all that. You had Yoramond, who was kind of underutilized. To be honest, all of the followers who didn't have voice acting were kind of a disappointment. But still, the dwarves in themselves, the Wheel Clan and the Black Mountain Clan, they played a huge part in the main story, and as a fan of dwarves, I definitely appreciate that. It was great to see them, in a more prominent role. But coming back to followers, actually, and going on to the disadvantages, although, to be honest, actually, let me wrap up what I liked, because one other thing that I feel deserves a lot of commendation is music. There wasn't very many different tracks, but all of them were pretty beautiful. And for example, this track that is playing in the main menu, I kinda love it, like to death, and I feel I will actually listen to it on my own, maybe on my phone or something. It's beautiful, it's melancholic and nostalgic, and almost a little tragic. I talked about it in the intro when I started the game, how it reminds me of like musings on an era that's slowly ending, you know, an era of chivalry being replaced by an era of industry, for example. So yeah, so music, pretty great. Overall, the game, pretty great. I'm very happy I played it, and I had a blast for entirety of it, which was presumably around, like I wasn't counting it yet, but I presume it was around 60 hours or something. But the things I disliked, obviously the combat I felt was janky and kind of buggy as well, with the rate of fire, for example, but it isn't that big of a problem, I can overlook that. But as far as other things are concerned, and the ones that are more important to me personally, as a fan of story-driven experiences, for example, I feel like all of the followers who didn't have voice acting were seriously underutilized. And I feel like the game could have benefited from shrinking the number of available companions and expanding the ones that were already there. Because, for example, the greatest disappointment perhaps for me was Varomon, right? He was one of the Bedokan, and he was of a totally different race to all of the other races, and yet throughout all of the game he never really commented on anything, he never offered unique perspective, he never asked any questions about the ways of the Warmbloods or anything, so that was a bit of a wasted potential, in my opinion. What else? I feel like the reaction system, even though it might have been ambitious for a time, was kind of botched, because it was very simplistic, and it led to those rather annoying situations in which the same person went through a cycle, like almost half psychotic cycle of insulting me for being ugly, then apologizing, and then after I finished conversation, and then started it again with the same person who has already apologized to me, they started to insult me again because I'm ugly, and then apologized to me again, and it was a little bit tedious. Not to mention, the game also conflated, pretty much through entirety of it, my ugliness with my social class, and also sometimes with my intellect. Like the game was implying that because I am ugly, I am an unwashed tramp, basically, which I don't believe is a reasonable assumption. What else? Yeah, as I said, I was pretty bad at this game. I perhaps should have read the manual, because there were many elements of it that I didn't ever figure out. For example, I never figured out how to order my companions to cast a specific spell, for example. I don't know if it was even possible. I never figured out why, how or if it was even possible to destroy doors or chests. I know I could blow them up, but I tried attacking them with my weapon and it never worked. So there is also that. I feel like I botched my character development a little bit, especially with regards to charisma, because obviously because of the curse. And I wonder if I could have persuaded Khergan to step down, and what kind of an ending would I got? Like, what would he be doing after he returned to Arcanum? As I mentioned half jokingly, I was kind of halfway expecting him to like open a euthanasia clinic. That could have been very interesting. Yeah, but overall I feel like I did a bad job at playing this game from a gameplay standpoint, but I don't feel particularly bad about it. To be honest, I suck at games in general, and I just enjoy them in spite of that. And it was definitely the case here, because I died a lot, and I didn't really like the combat even when I was winning. But the final point is, it doesn't matter for me. What matters for me is the soul of the game, which for me is created by its world and its characters and its story, and all of those were pretty great in Arcanum. And yeah, I might write a more detailed review of sorts, or a more detailed summary of my thoughts. If I will, then it will be in a pinned comment underneath this video. But for now, I guess as far as my most basic overview of my time with Arcanum, I guess that's it. I greatly enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun. I'm glad that I played it. It was very good. So that's all for this one, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!